part of the toolkit, right in the beginning, we have, we call them the 6 A's, the things that we really want all that we do to be based on, and those are about aspirations, it's about achievement, it's about being an advocate for a child, it's about seeing, having access, so seeing, which is in your video, which was really powerful, which we used at the launch, Joe. It's about seeing the whole child, not just about the learning of literacy, English, maths. It's about, you know, the whole 360 view of the child. So it's about access, it's about accountability. We can have all the best things in place in the toolkit, but unless we have accountability measures in, we're not going to get as far as we need to get. So we all need to be accountable. That includes teachers, parents, school leaders, other professionals. You know, we have to be open and honest, but we do have to be accountable to each other if we're going to move forward.
Sometimes when we're in our meetings and we're looking at the targets as part of the Assess, Plan, Do review, you can get sidetracked by whether like the educational targets being met, and you sort of discuss whether that's been met or not. And we haven't, from my personal experience, sometimes there is that missing around the discussion around the strategies that have been tried and actually what's working and what needs adjusting. So yeah, so that if there's a shift away from just focusing on whether that's been tick that one off and move on to the next one, but an actual sort of more fuller discussion around what's worked and what hasn't, I would really welcome that.
No, absolutely, because I think again that comes down to, doesn't it, as a parent, sometimes it can feel quite daunting to be in a school. It can feel quite daunting sometimes to work with, you know, especially when you as a parent feel you absolutely know your child and you're so passionate. Of course you are. And I think when I've been on the other side of the table in meetings about my son, and you can feel so frustrated, sort of, well, why aren't they getting what I'm actually saying here? You know, I know that if you do this, this will happen. It'll be like a, you know, if you talk to him in that way, then he will leave the classroom and I will get a phone call and have to pick him up type scenario. So you're absolutely right. It's not in those meetings. I mean, we used to call them individual education plans. Well, those IEPs, you know, they're not there anymore, and they never were actually. They even in the old code of practice, you didn't have to do them. What the code actually asks for is clarity that a school knows a target for a child or young person and is putting the provision in place. So it's quite general. And again, in the SEN world, lots of forms arrived, IEP forms that, you know, were capturing that information. And from my personal belief is if we spent the time in really looking at the teaching and learning side of that, and what you said, Joe, the different strategies that we could have a go at, that we could try, we'd all be better served. So again, as a parent, being able to say, okay, so you want, let's say it's a primary school, you want Jake to be able to know the different sounds, these 5 different sounds, which wouldn't be unusual in a support plan. Well, you know, as a parent, what might engage your child in doing that. You know, so then you're right, talk about the strategies. And as a parent, I might say, do you know what, he's so mad keen on dinosaurs at the moment. Have you thought of doing, I wonder if that would work. It's that sort of way of talking to each other, isn't it? And the teacher might say, well, that's a really good idea, Kim, we've tried that, but actually we're going to have a go at this. Let's see if that works. So you're right. It's what we tried to push at the launch last week is section 6 gives you some very useful forms, but unless you've got the systems in place of how you talk and work with parents and how you gather information, how you think about strategies, how you review what's working, I'm afraid it just stays a form.
True, that's true. Sometimes we get inundated by paperwork as well as parent carers. And when you see another form come by, you're just like, oh, it's another bit of paperwork. More to do.